I'm Buffy Meyer. I'm a Bering Straits shareholder from Nome, Alaska. My Inupiaq name is Nungwat, and this is my husband, Brady Hayden. We have been working together with subsistence and filleting fish, and we're going to start with adding the onions, just sauteing them a little bit. I know traditionally my mom used to like to boil the water and then add the onions, but we're going to do a slight saute. And we're starting it in this littler pot because we pre-boiled the hot water just so we can speed up the process. And is that good, you think? A little more. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil. We found out as we were cooking, this isn't one of the traditional things we did when we were younger, but sesame oil really accents the flavor of salmon. And so anytime you can cook your salmon with a little bit of sesame oil, it really adds a great flavor that brings out the salmon taste. Then we're going to add a little bit of flour now just to incorporate it into the onions so we won't have like a lumpy soup later.
These are the salmon heads that we're going to cook. They've been split and the gills have been taken out. The collars are still left on. This meat right here is the richest part of the salmon right here. This is what the bears will eat. This back part off of their head and strip the top of the skin off.
And the belly strips, but the heads, yeah.
But the heads is what they really like. So this is what we're going to put in our pot, cook these down. There's a lot of collagen in the nose. It's good for your joints and stuff, but this is a very rich, nutritional soup.
All right, now our water is boiling, so we are going to add the potatoes. So we've already pre-diced them with some of the interns. And so we are going to let this boil for about maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to add the salmon heads and let those boil for probably about 10 more. And oh yeah, and we'll add we could add those onions right now. All right, so we are ready to put in the salmon heads and the salmon scrapings, and some also traditionally we start with the ocean salt water. It has a lot of salt in the ocean water, and even when we're boiling our seal meat, we start with the ocean water, and it tastes like you've added salt to your boils, that there is no salt added, and it's just amazing how it has a perfect salt flavor from the ocean water. And so our potatoes are just about done, and so we are going to add the onions, and we're going to add the salmon heads and the salmon scrapings. All right, I think just go low. There we go. And with this salmon, the salmon scrapings, I took it and pre-marinated it in that sesame oil and some of our special blend of seafood seasoning that we make for our food, and it just gives it the right flavor that brings out salmon so well. So it's been marinating for about half hour, 45 minutes. And we've taken these salmon eggs and broken the outer casing off a little bit as a pre-measure earlier, just so that way they can get incorporated into the soup a little without the that membrane, the outer membrane being in there. And we're just gonna do some more of that special seasoning that we have created for seafood. And so we like to add fish oil or fish sauce, and then we like to add a little bit of lemon juice And the soup basically is done, and we just put the greens on last because it finishes the soup. And then as soon as it's just cooled a little bit, we'll be able to ladle that. So these greens are cilantro, but up north we can do any of the traditional greens, sura, can't think of the other names, but any of the traditional greens that you like to add to soup. And I love to add the cilantro at the very end, and it's a nice substitute. You could also add celery leaves, or they have puchkis out on, they call them puchkis out on St. George and St. Paul Island. All right, we'll save this for the top garnish on each bowl. So our soup is done, but extremely hot. So we'll let it cool down and dish it up, and we'll see what everybody thinks, and we'll get to enjoy this pretty soon.